Hey, what's up? My name's Haley. We're in a Russian apartment complex currently. I think my favorite thing about the furry diaspora and its use of technology is that you can do anything you want because there is at least someone else in the furry community working on the same thing. So any service that you need, web design, you can go to Arthfac. If you need someone to do 3D modeling for you, there's a million different people. But the fact is that we're all semi-reliant on technology in order to continue to do this. So it's sort of our job in the furry community to find new ways to communicate with each other. In the same way that VR chat, is kind of a closed system that has a lot more rules and regulations, and Resonite is a lawless wasteland. That's a lie. That's a lie. I promise you, Resonite's a good, safe place to be. It's different and it attracts a more technologically advanced community. Because people tend to go on VR chat more to relax and have fun and communicate, whereas the social aspect here is a little bit of just a component of everything else that's going on. What people make here and what people discuss here tends to be a little bit more business-oriented. The fact that I'm able to talk to literal theme park developers here, and the fact that I'm reaching out to people in all sorts of ways, including ways that you might expect, without even needing to worry about borders or regulations or particularly the rules, makes it the perfect ground to try new experiments, to work on businesses, art projects, anything creative, really. And the fact that it's literally just on my PC and the total cost of doing it was the money that I had already spent to get a computer in the first place, plus a VR headset, I mean, you're laughing. Especially when it comes to being able to make a video like this in my own bedroom. I can be working on the couch on my VR headset and be here on a couch looking like this. I'm too funny to run a YouTube channel. I'm sorry, I make myself laugh constantly. And meanwhile, I'm trying to tell you all about different business schemes I'm running. So anyway, I am Dearest Haley, the suspiciously wealthy furry. I don't have any real money, but I do have infinite negative money, which is basically the same thing if you think about it too hard. What I love about worlds like this is that they speak to a cross-cultural potential for how furries can operate with each other. What makes us the same is that we all want to look different. And I think that's magical. A lot of people in various communities like the anime community or the robotic community, they all have shared interests too. And watching how those kind of combine and contrast, if you think about every subculture as a diaspora, you end up being able to access so many more people than you could ever possibly believe. Because let's be honest, if you can be chill about furries, you can take over the world. It's true. If you can think about anything to do with anthropomorphism and just go, yeah, whatever, you're going to laugh, you're going to live, you're going to love. And I think especially the mascotization of furries, I think a lot of people who are taking their furry assets and going to build new universes or new businesses, that's huge for tax write-offs, that's huge for getting your brand out there. And especially if you have a brand that truly represents you, and you like the way that you look, you're going to love doing your marketing. You're going to love doing all of the work that goes into running your business. People come to me and they say, Haley, how do you have so much energy for what you do? How do you have so much energy for running startups and being a stinky little entrepreneur? It's because I'm not trying to be someone that I'm not. Being in this avatar in a random world, which is made by Klink, by the way, shout out Klink, puts me in a situation where I get to be at ease and just kind of vibing, I think a lot of people are afraid to vibe and explore different ideas because they're so tuned into what they actually are. So if you think about your business based on only the communities that you belong to, you are going to miss out on so many different opportunities. So I think the ultimate leverage play is, look, I'm a furry. Look at all these furry artists. Well, what if we just kind of put them together? What's that meme that's going around? Magita la magita. Look, the brain rot's real with me. It's just part of me, I think especially like when we're looking at digital technology right now, we are kind of reaching this point where if you are stuck with technology, if you're disabled and you rely on technology in order to participate in culture, politics, etc., a new underclass is being created, people who are no longer surviving, but are simply stuck underneath survival. You know, we talk about the poverty gap. We don't talk about the culture gap. We don't talk about ways that people need to access information differently. And I would love to use what I'm doing here on this YouTube channel, and just to be a little bit suspiciously wealthy, to show folks that what they're doing really has like a lot of cross-cultural applications. By the way, quick, this is quick Kenyan farming update. I've now picked an operator to work on this Kenyan farms for me called David Otieno from Kaduk Community Farm. He's going to be there to support the on-the-ground work, so I'm not stuck kind of putting my business into a culture that, you know, doesn't need me. I'm learning a little bit of Luo, though. Your Luo word for the day is asante. Asante means thanks. If you want to do stuff, the whole point is that you've got to be willing to try and fail. As long as you set a budget to start something and you have a moment where you're going to nope out on it, that money is never lost, really, because it adds to your experience, your skill set, and also the amount of people and things that you can interface with. If you see yourself kind of like a universal adapter, you'll find yourself never without work, because it stops being about, oh, I can do this job or this job or this job or that job. It becomes a lot more about what can you operate in? What fields can you work in? Especially with somebody who has a lot of background in more mysticism and folklore, especially as a spoken word poet, I'm able to communicate to a lot more people using platforms like this. One thing that really gets my gut is those YouTube channels where it's just people pissing each other off in VR chat for no reason. The fact is that if you stop looking at those videos and start to think about the real opportunities, even if somebody is being annoying as hell, that is a singular person who has ideas, things that they want to operate in, and different things that they are struggling with, you know? And if you can look at somebody's challenges and really say, hey, you could make a business even about the things that you struggle with, then you laugh at. So I really want to look at Resonate as sort of like an opportunity to build a more fiscally responsible furry community, shall we say. Understand that spending $4K on a fursuit should be a business expense. We build those businesses in order to reduce our tax liabilities to afford that, you know? We can be putting our avatars as tax write-offs. We can be putting a lot of the assets that we create up for sale as well. Because when you only look at certain asset classes as things that are valuable and things that are not valuable, you end up giving away a lot of cool stuff for free. This world should be free because it is a cultural exchange between a Russian developer and the rest of us, you know? That's something that is a miracle that I'm able to access this for free. But if you look at things a little bit more closely, you see there's opportunity to show off different aspects of, let's say, Russian culture or the Russian language. And then you've suddenly built a place where people can just interface with you and your culture. So when I talk about the furry diaspora, I'm talking to people who don't think that they have a culture, you know, especially British furries. British furries, we have the coolest culture in the world because, yes, we're a bunch of tea-drinking bottle of water binguses. But the fact is, if we all thought about our culture as something that we can access and interface with, suddenly platforms like this could be a beautiful place for everyone to work together. I want to host the first furry Eurovision. Let me host the first furry Eurovision. I'm presuming it's already happened, like some FurCon's going to do it, but I want to do it in Resonate, you know? If you want to be successful in business, spend zero money, genuinely look at who you have access to, and start looking to fix their problems. That's all you have to do. The moment that you do that, there is endless opportunities for everyone. So if you look at me, and you say, oh, that's just a furry on a couch in the middle of a Russian village, sure. But what you're missing is, I have places and advantages that you can leverage if you got to know me. So, suspiciously wealthy furry, dearest Haley, beloved and expensive, am I right? Thanks for popping by, and if I can do anything for you, let's get in touch. Let's see if we can turn the furry diaspora into an actual engine so everyone can succeed and benefit, you know? My favorite thing about the Kenyans is that we believe so much in shared prosperity, which is something that is completely lost in modern business culture. The whole point is that if you actually look after your employees and you look after everyone that you work with, you can never fail as a business because everything that you built will always last. The smiles that you have been putting on your face today are going to last decades to come because you've built whole communities and towns and everything. That's how the world used to work. We don't need to look at these tax-advantaged billionaires. We need to look at each other and say, okay, so we got to make a little bit of money. Where do we start? So my next video is going to be about stuff. Yeah, we're going into the stuff game now. We're going to be talking about intangibles, which are the things that exist but don't have value that you can see easily. So I've been the dearest Haley, signing off. Like and subscribe, or just reach out. So yeah, I'll see you later.